Good evening and welcome. This is India Today. I'm Rahul Kamal, and over the next 1 hour, I will get you the results of the Delhi opinion poll. We're asking the question, what happens if assembly elections were to be held today? Remember, the Aam Aadmi Party in 2015 had swept to the most historic victory. Would they be able to repeat that magic, or is the pendulum shifting the other way? This local election with national ramifications is our top focus. What we've done essentially, and I want to take you through the methodology that we are following for the numbers that we are putting out. Axis My India sent out 60 pollsters into all the wards of Delhi. These wards also make up assembly seats. So what we're doing is we're taking the 13,800 people who were sampled as our base, using the trends that they indicated during the survey for the MCD exit poll, extrapolating that over assembly trends, and presenting you in just a short while from now the results for what may happen if assembly elections were to be held today. This question is important because at this time you've got the sword of Damocles hanging over the necks of 21 AAP MLAs at the very least. The Election Commission could disqualify them at any time. What may happen then if there are 21 fresh by-elections? So very, very important, this question, in the context of what may happen post the 26th of April. So I want to introduce you to some of our guests. Many will be joining me over the next 1 hour. I want to introduce first Rajdeep Sardesai, India's foremost political journalist. Also with us at this time is Kamal Mitra Chinoy, tracks the Aam Aadmi Party very closely. Ashok Malik is joining us, understands the ins and outs of the BJP and what's going on in the minds of the top leadership. Ashish Kaitan from the Aam Aadmi Party is also joining us on this broadcast. Let's get started. I present to you now data put together by the team at Access My India, an extrapolation of municipal trends over assembly seats. Here is what India Today and Access My India believes may happen if assembly elections were to be held just now. I present to you the data. Remember, in 2015, the BJP had just 3 assembly seats. Access My India projects that if assembly elections were to be happening now, the BJP could win a whopping 56 to 62 seats. One of the strongest performances the BJP would have ever registered in the national capital. The Congress had 0 in the assembly elections. They're not doing well, but they're at least likely to open their account, bagging between 4 and 7 seats. So the BJP potentially gaining about 56 seats. The Congress potentially gaining about 6 seats. What we've done is we've taken a median, giving an average there. The big story though is that the political pendulum in the national capital of Delhi swinging from the Aam Aadmi Party to the other side. The Aam Aadmi Party is projected to lose up to 62 seats, down from 67 in the last time, this time getting somewhere between 4 and 7. So roughly down 62 seats from the last time. Take a look at the vote share percentages. This is crucial because the vote share percentages also show a big change. The vote share of the Aam Aadmi Party down 30% from the last time, 54%, indicating that 54% voted for AAP in 2015, now only 24% indicating that AAP is their top choice. The Congress picking up from about 10% to 23%, that's about 13% more than last time. The big gainer though, the BJP, their rough vote share in Delhi has been in the early 30s consistently. That vote share now going up, possibly because of the Modi bump. I'll ask my experts why they think this is happening, going up about 10%. So overall, the BJP projected to bag 11%, the Congress up by about 13%, the AAP down by 30%. Big debacle for the AAP. Before I go any further, I just want to build a caveat. Remember, this poll which was done by Access My India for India Today was done during a municipal election. So you're essentially asking people what their voting preference is, keeping the MCD in mind. Later, it is possible that people, when they're voting for an assembly election, may vote differently, but this is broadly indicative of the way the winds in Delhi are blowing. So some of those numbers might change. It could be an even bigger win for the BJP, or the AAP could do better. Both are possible. We don't know the answer, but what we know is this is the way the political pendulum in the capital is shifting, and is shifting away from the Aam Aadmi Party. It is shifting towards the BJP, that there can be no doubt about. Let's get initial words from all our guests. I want to start with Rajdeep Sardesai. 67-3 was the scoreline earlier. Now it could be as much as 62, says Access My India. It seems that Modi and Amit Shah could do to Kejriwal what Kejriwal did to them if assembly elections were to be held now.
2.5 years, long time in politics. February of 2015, sweep for the AAP, and now if your exit poll is right, then the pendulum has completely shifted. I'm not surprised, because this poll, remember Rahul, has been held against the backdrop of the BJP's overwhelming victory in Uttar Pradesh, where they already established some kind of a record. So the momentum of that could have influenced your voters even in the MCD and in Delhi. Today, if you have an election, and I am making a big sort of suggestion there, that if you have an election today, there is every possibility that Narendra Modi-led BJP will get as many, if not more, seats than they got in Lok Sabha 2014. So there is naturally a kind of momentum.
They won all 7, you can't get any more.
No, that's the fact. No, I'm saying not just Delhi, across India.
National.
Across India, the BJP NDA alliance, which won 330
the
plus.
India Today Mood of the Nation says that, so 360 plus.
Therefore, please look at all these numbers, Rahul, in the context of what we have seen happening in the last 6 months, stretching back to 2016 and now. 2015 was the only blip. There was Delhi and there was Bihar. And I think in 2015 in Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal was seen as someone who deserved a second chance. He had left government after 48 days and people felt he had been unfairly targeted. Now today, Arvind Kejriwal is also facing a measure of anti-incumbency or voter anger. Plus, Narendra Modi nationally retains a certain charisma. The combination.
No, but anti-incumbency hasn't caught up with Modi, interestingly.
It hasn't. There was a period where it appeared it was catching up. And particularly post-demonetization, my sense was that Narendra Modi would have a challenge 12 months after demonetization. But today, as of now, he has reaped the benefits of demonetization. He's occupied every space. What is the space today where his rivals can challenge Mr. Modi? So yes, at the moment there appears the Tina factor, and you are seeing this in Delhi in these results as well.
No.
But I again maintain, let's not believe that that means that Mr. Kejriwal is out or anyone is completely finished, because in politics things can change.
Absolutely.
It calls for course correction. I think it calls for course correction, these numbers from Mr. Kejriwal, and it also calls for, if I was in the opposition, a need to decide, do you want to form a Mahagathbandhan, or do you really believe divided you can fight a Modi? Because your numbers, interestingly, in percentage terms, are saying if the Congress and AAP were together, they could actually give the BJP a fight. The moment they are split, it's clear advantage BJP.
But they hate each other, and can they
Look
come
at those
together?
numbers,
Absolutely.
23 and 24, Rahul, add up to 47%. If that vote was together, if there was a Congress
like in Bihar.
Like in Bihar, it is now becoming increasingly clear, given Modi's high level of popularity, if anyone wants to challenge him, you're going to have to form a grand alliance against him. Otherwise, you're going to suffer.
I want to go across to Ashish Kaitan and get a quick word from the Aam Aadmi Party. This is not an opinion poll done with an assembly election in mind, but Ashish, you understand how these numbers work. It gives you a sense of the way the winds in the capital are blowing. And the winds in the capital very clearly are blowing away from the Aam Aadmi Party and in favor of the BJP. And it also seems, Ashish, that Delhi is India's biggest yo-yo state. It's the biggest swing state. So you're swinging from one extreme where they were backing Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party, and they're swinging totally now in the opposite direction. How is the script going so horribly wrong for the Aam Aadmi Party?
Okay, so that was a fairly long, introduction by you and your colleague. So first of all, I don't at all agree with such extrapolations. Those who understand politics and those who have studied elections, they know that these kind of extrapolations, where you extrapolate the result of local body elections onto assembly elections and of assembly elections onto general elections, they simply don't work. This is not how elections happen in India. I will just give you some empirical evidence to buttress my point. In November 2015, Panchayat polls happened in Uttar Pradesh, and in 3 of the major constituencies held by 3 big BJP stalwarts, Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Varanasi, Rajnath Singh in Lucknow, and Devariya of Kalraj Mishra, BJP lost all Panchayat polls, and at that time Samajwadi Party was gloating that this is the trailer of the 2017 elections. I'll give you another instance, which is of the by-polls held soon after the Lok Sabha elections. Now, in the by-polls held in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat, all 23 seats held by BJP, which went to by-polls in 2014, in September 2014, BJP lost more than half the seats. So, this kind of extrapolation has never worked. Each election has its own dynamics. Every election is fought on a unique set of factors. That's why you saw BJP taking away all 7 seats in 2014, and then BJP losing 67 seats in 2015.
Okay, let me get a word
So
from Kamal Mitra Shenoy. Ashish does have a point. For example, and I concede that. For example, in 2014, when the Lok Sabha elections happened, the BJP won all Lok Sabha seats in Delhi. So, and they won big time in Bihar. Then when the assembly elections happened, the dynamics changed. Do you think that the dynamics are still such that the AAP could win anywhere close to 67 seats? Or would you say that the writing is on the wall and AAP is refusing to read it?
Well, firstly, I'd like to show how there has been a decline, not just in Delhi. In Punjab, even pollsters thought that AAP would get about 55 seats.
Which pollsters? Our pollster never
No,
felt
not AAP, but there were pollsters who said that. And even earlier, some had warned, like Tribune, Economic Times, etc., that AAP leaders had, 38 AAP leaders broken away. 30 of them were fighting against AAP, including 2 sitting members of parliament and so forth. So AAP, instead of getting what it expected, got 22 seats. I think that was the time that AAP should have looked very carefully at its policies, its tactics, its slogans, and adjusted them to Delhi. I think they really thought that they already had a very good chance, though they were very upset with their record in Punjab. Though for a first-time party, as a rule of thumb, 22 seats is not bad at all, but it was way below their expectations.
So you're saying that things have changed, that the AAP needs to recognize it's no longer as popular as it once was. I want to put out 3 data points which are very important to take this story further. Let's take a look at what people think of the performance of the central government. This gives you a sense. You know, these are all questions which give you a sense of what's in the mind of the voters. When voters were asked how they assessed the performance of the central government, 68% of the respondents said they were satisfied. 31% said they were not satisfied. So more than 2/3 of the respondents said Modi is doing a good job. Let's look at the next question. Ashish Khaitan, this is important for you. When voters were asked, are you satisfied with the performance of the Kejriwal government? 42% said they were satisfied. Many more, 57% said they were not satisfied. So Ashish Khaitan, there is a message there. You just look at it. People are happy with Modi, they're unhappy with Kejriwal. Okay, maybe the voting percentages may change slightly. Maybe the seat share numbers may change slightly. But when it comes to the simple question of are people happy with what Kejriwal and company are doing, the answer is no. 57% say no, Ashish. You can't run away from that data point.
So, well, you started by saying that you asked all these questions in the backdrop of MCD polls. So, in MCD polls, the issues were different. The dynamics of the elections were different. But this kind of 42-57%, I think, has to be seen in the context of where this kind of survey was done, what were the issues that were discussed, And what were the questions that were posed to those who were surveyed?
Yes.
So suppose
this
if
is
you
interesting,
ask that
Ashish. You are trying to clutch at straws, find fault with one of the most reliable pollsters in India, but refusing to acknowledge that there could be a problem. In fact, I've got Pradeep Gupta, Managing Director of Access My India, joining us on this broadcast, and he will answer some of the questions that Ashish just asked. And before that, I want to put out our next data point, and this would give some sense of reassurance to the Aam Aadmi Party.
Exit polls have been wrong. So Ashish has the point there.
Exit polls are usually right, but you're right that exit polls have been wrong. However, let's look at it this way, that if you look at the raw data trends, they actually show an even bigger victory for the BJP. So yes, the number may vary marginally, but I don't think anybody in Delhi, not even those in the Aam Aadmi Party, are saying that they are winning the MCD election. In fact, Arvind Kejriwal, when he spoke this morning, and I'll play that out in just a moment, actually spoke of what they would do if they were to lose. They said if what happened in Bhind, if what happened in UP happens in the MCD elections, we will start an agitation. Take a look at Kejriwal. He's not saying he'll lose, but he says if the BJP wins or if we don't do well, we will start agitating again. Is that a concession of defeat, or is that an understanding that things aren't looking good? Listen first to Arvind Kejriwal.
मेरा कहने का मतलब ये था, बात केवल ये नहीं कि हम परसों जीतेंगे कि हारेंगे। अब अगर हम इस तरह की बेईमानी बर्दाश्त करते रहे तो हम आंदोलन से आए थे, हम सत्ता का सुख भोगने नहीं आए थे। वापस आंदोलन से
We will go back to agitation. हम आंदोलन की पार्टी हैं. We are not here to be in power. So in some senses, and even if you look at the reaction which he gave soon after having voted, in some senses, you know, he's kind of mentally preparing his cadre that the party may not do well, saying that the BJP is cheating, that the election voting machines, the EVMs are fixed, and we will go back and we will agitate. Take a look at graphic number 6. This is about the most preferred leader. Here we ask people who's their most preferred leader in the capital. The number one choice still is Arvind Kejriwal. 25% of the respondents said that they believe that Arvind Kejriwal is their most preferred leader. Manoj Tiwari, very interestingly, he's new and a lot of BJP people will be looking at this data very carefully. He's just been introduced to Delhi politics full time. He's already at number 21. He was nowhere in the picture till very recently. Harshvardhan is at 15. Sheila Dikshit is at 14. Others are at 14. Then there's Markan at 4, Vijay Goyal at 2, Jetli at 2, Mahesh Giri at 2. So this is a little unfair to the BJP leaders. So what I did is next, I added up all the AAP contenders and the BJP contenders, essentially saying if the BJP were indeed to project a chief ministerial face, depending of course on who that face is, give or take, what kind of popularity would the BJP leader have? If you add up all the markings in favor of the BJP leadership, AAP is at 25 because Kejriwal's popularity is 25, there's no other person in his party. The BJP is at 43%. So 43% is where that particular BJP leader could potentially be. The Congress is at 18. I want to go across to Pradeep Gupta. This data shows that Kejriwal is still the most preferred leader in Delhi, even though the BJP is doing very well. Ashish Khaitan argues just because they might end up not doing well in the MCD elections, it doesn't mean if assembly elections were to happen now, they would still do badly. He says this extrapolation makes no sense. How do you respond to that?
Okay, first you asked about the popularity, the most preferred personality in Delhi. No doubt in the individual capacity it is Arvind Kejriwal who is the clear-cut leader with 25% preference. And as far as the party goes, not the individual capacity, if you total out all the BJP leaders, it is coming to 43%. But Manoj Tiwari was the second with the 21%.
That is correct. And I find Ashok Malik, Manoj Tiwari coming in at 21, just 4% below Arvind Kejriwal. Very interesting because most people who look at Manoj Tiwari, some of them at least, don't take him very seriously as a politician. They think of him more as a singer, but he's an MP. He's doing well. He's been brought into Delhi. He took the place of Satish Upadhyay. And 21% for Manoj Tiwari is not bad at all. He's just 4% short of Kejriwal.
No, but if you see to be fair, if you look at the many BJP contenders or aspirants who've got some percentage of the vote, it's clear that the BJP supporter, who comprises some 40% or whatever it is not certain about who his or her chief ministerial candidate is. And if a Vidhan Sabha election were to take place today, that is one shortcoming the BJP would have to fix. I know it's one UP without a chief ministerial candidate, but it can't keep winning elections without putting forward candidates, and finding a suitable chief ministerial candidate for Delhi would certainly be something it need to look at in case there is a assembly election. There's one other point I'd like to make. Arvind Kejriwal at 25%, if these numbers are correct, is at about the same level as the AAP vote. Which is a great change from 2015, because usually a popular leader, a well-known leader lifts his party, because the 2015 election which AAP swept was of course a victory for AAP. It was also significantly a victory for Arvind Kejriwal, because he really lifted his party. There were a lot of individual candidates who people didn't know or were wary about, but Arvind Kejriwal lifted the party. His own popularity, if these numbers are correct, seems to have dipped. And he's at the same level as his party. He's not lifting it.
That's a good point.
That should be a concern to AAP. Again, if these numbers
are we saying, is Mr. Gupta saying that when voters were asked who is your preferred chief ministerial candidate, it was 25% Kejriwal and 23% Mr. Tiwari?
21%.
21 Tiwari. Is that what they are saying? Or are you saying that, because my sense is that a number of voters, Rahul, in this election did not even know who their municipal councillors were. And they are voting for the BJP, if they are, because of Narendra Modi, not because of Manoj Tiwari. So if Manoj Tiwari has suddenly become a factor in Delhi elections, I would be very surprised, Mr. Gupta. If you are saying the gap between him and Arvind Kejriwal is 4%, I would be surprised. I would be completely accepting the fact that if this was seen as a Narendra Modi versus Kejriwal Delhi election, you'll probably find Narendra Modi well ahead of Mr. Kejriwal. But are you saying in a chief ministerial state, Mr. Manoj Tiwari is just 4% behind Arvind Kejriwal, and when I add the other BJP members, he's actually well ahead of Kejriwal? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Gupta? Are you saying that Manoj Tiwari is just 4% behind in a straight direct question? Who is your preferred choice for CM?
That's true. Let me put like this. See, when we have not asked the preferred choice for the CM. What we have asked literally is, आपको क्या लगता है दिल्ली की तस्वीर कौन बदल सकता है आगे आने वाले दिनों में? Then, and we ask spontaneously. We never add with the choices. We simply ask who. Some of them has revealed Arun Jaitley also.
Right.
You see, some of them are saying Arun Jaitley.
But that's even more interesting, Rajdeep.
It is interesting.
That shows that despite not being projected, despite him not being one of the nominees in that list, Manoj Tiwari still comes in at 21.
Look, this poll is all bad news for Mr. Kejriwal. Anything that he or Ashish today on the program clutches on is straws. Given what the scale of the victory that you are predicting in the MCD polls and what would happen in an assembly election. My only question is that one has seen that elections at a state level have become presidential. They've become in a song, who do you want as your chief minister?
So BJP has to build someone.
So BJP has to build. They tried to build Kiran Bedi, they didn't succeed. Satish Upadhyay couldn't take on a Kejriwal. Are we saying that Manoj Tiwari, a Purvanchali whose base really is outside Delhi, has suddenly acquired this high level of popularity? Or are people, even in this poll, confusing him with Narendra Modi? Because remember, all the posters in Delhi have Amit Shah, Narendra Modi and Manoj Tiwari.
Sure.
So it almost seems that you are confusing Manoj Tiwari with Narendra Modi.
No,
and a lot of the vote that Manoj Tiwari is getting is not because who Manoj Tiwari is, but wo Narendra Modi ka aadmi hai.
Sure, absolutely.
But I think the term should be conflating, not confusing.
Okay, I want to now take a look at where these numbers are coming from. So if the BJP is going up, where is it picking up the extra vote share from? And if the Aam Aadmi Party is sliding, why is it sliding? I have some very interesting insights for you. Let's start with the caste cauldron of the capital. Now remember, the BJP traditionally a party strong amongst the upper caste. So I'll start with the upper caste first. And there is no surprise really that 54% of the upper caste amongst our sample said that they would vote for the BJP, 19% said they would vote for AAP, 18% said they would vote for the Congress, 54% said they'd vote for the BJP. Let's now come to the scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. a group of people who had swung heavily towards the Aam Aadmi Party in the assembly elections of 2015. Only 25% of the SC/ST voters in Delhi said they would vote for AAP. 41% said they'd vote for the BJP, 22% said they'd vote for Congress, which means amongst the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the BJP now ahead of the Aam Aadmi Party. Let's take a look at the OBC voters now. Here again, no real surprise. Amongst the OBC voters, AAP picks up 23% of the vote share, the BJP picks up 49% of the vote share, the Congress picks up 19%, others pick up 9%. Let's now come to one of the very interesting insights that we're bringing to you this evening. Remember, the Muslim voter in Delhi had dumped the Congress en masse and gravitated towards the Aam Aadmi Party in the last assembly elections. That seems to have changed. The Aam Aadmi Party is picking up a substantive 37% of the votes, but that, remember, is not the majority of the votes. The BJP is never expected to pick up too many of the Muslim votes. They're picking up only 15%, but the Congress is actually picking up 42%. So the Congress is now picking up more Muslim votes than the Aam Aadmi Party. 42 for the Congress, 37 for the AAP. So the AAP's grasp over minority votes in the capital now suddenly shaky. Let's now come to Sikh votes. Amongst the Sikhs also, the Congress hasn't been particularly popular. Here we saw with the Aam Aadmi Party in the Rajouri Garden seat, for example, where Jarnail Singh had gone and contested in Punjab. They're picking up only 27% of the total Sikh votes. The BJP is picking up 43% of the Sikh votes. The Congress is picking up 23% of the Sikh votes. That's interesting. The BJP picking up 43% of the Sikh votes. Now, Rajdeep, what's interesting here is that the Muslims, it seems, are now confused once again between AAP and the Congress. And in fact, more Muslims are saying they prefer Rahul Gandhi's party over Kejriwal's party.
You know, as you said, this is a poll where both the Congress and AAP have to clutch at straws. And one of the straws that the Congress will clutch is the numbers that you just showed.
Sure.
Because if you look at the assembly election, the Congress was decimated even in Muslim-dominated areas. They lost the Dalit vote. The traditional Congress vote went to AAP. One of the reasons why AAP crossed 50%, the Muslim Dalit vote went in large numbers to Aam Aadmi Party. That slowly seems to be coming back, if this poll is right.
Not coming back. Dalits are going towards the BJP. The Muslims may have come back in some
numbers. The Muslims
numbers.
in particular, Dalits are still, the Congress is doing better today than they were doing 2 years ago among those groups.
Absolutely.
So basically, the Aam Aadmi Party, which had taken large share of the Congress vote, that vote slowly could be returning in some areas to the Congress. And I think that is bad news for the Aam Aadmi Party. And that is where the other numbers then start making sense. That the Aam Aadmi Party is not just losing at the moment to Narendra Modi and the BJP, but the Congress is slowly picking up in some areas, particularly in a civic poll. Now, this is a civic poll, this is in the backdrop of MCD elections. We don't know how it will play out in an assembly election. Either way, for the Congress party, this is their road to recovery, which is why I said, if these two parties have to decide, AAP and Congress have to decide what is your main enemy. Is it Narendra Modi or is it Aam Aadmi Party and Congress seeing each other as the main enemy?
Is that at all, Ashish Khaitan, conceivable?
Then that Muslim vote and that
answer
SC
this
vote
question, Rajdeep, you know, throwing this googly, saying that Rahul Gandhi and Kejriwal should join hands. They hate each other, the both of them. Is that at all possible? He's saying that's the one. Sure.
I'm saying that is the only way today in this environment they can take on Mr. Modi if they believe Mr. Modi is their primary enemy.
Let Ashish
That's what they have to decide.
Our primary enemy, Rajdeep and Rahul, is corruption. Our primary enemy is expensive power, expensive water. Our vision for Delhi is we want to build a state where basic amenities like power and water are available universally to everybody. Number two, we want to improve healthcare and public education and bring both of them at par to private sector. So the poor and the disadvantaged sections are not deprived of good education and good healthcare. That's our vision. And as I said, our primary enemy is again backwardness and corruption. And we are going to stick to our agenda. And we don't believe in coalition politics. AAP has charted out a path for itself, and we are going to stick to that path.
Okay, so what I'll do right now is take a very quick break. I have lots of very interesting insights. where are the Purvanchalis, people who've come from outside Delhi, from Uttar Pradesh, from Bihar, Eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, where is their vote going? Where is the vote of the slum clusters going? Remember, the slums were one of the big bastions of AAP support. Where is the youth voting? Where are the poor, the middle income, the rich people in Delhi voting? Also, what would happen finally if Lok Sabha elections were to be held today? I want to go across now to Nupur Sharma, because you're beating, this is, I know that some of the top leaders of the BJP, they've been calling, we've been speaking about this poll, they've been looking at this data very keenly. They're very excited. Excited because, this is Lagan, this is Vasuli, this is revenge. Kejriwal embarrassed the might of the Modi-Shah combine in 2015. Now they're confident that if elections were to be held now, they can repay Soot Samet, one of the BJP leaders said.
Rahul, I'd like to start by paying my heartfelt condolences to the families of the bereaved, the martyred families of Chhattisgarh, Sukhma, and now I'd like to come to this debate because I heard the entire stretch. First and foremost, I agree this is a civic poll, exit poll. What do you say about the by-election in Rajouri Garden? I mean, not that ruling parties don't lose, but they don't lose deposits. This was the first that we saw here. And also, I heard you speak about voters depending on their religion and so on and so forth. I think we now need to stop categorizing them as Sikhs, Muslims, Hindus and so on and so forth, simply because, now take the example of Rajouri Garden. We and our coalition partner Kali may have lost Punjab, but Punjab went to Congress party, not to Aam Aadmi party. And Rajouri Garden in Delhi houses the maximum Sikh and Punjabi population in Delhi. But that went to BJP. I think they're all people. And what is the logic behind winning Uttar Pradesh for BJP? Everybody, almost everybody from across caste communities voted for the Bharatiya Janata Party. I think now it is about who is delivering, who's actually working. It is very easy to come on television and say that our priority is corruption. But when you spend 97 crores of public exchequer's money into advertising that you're anti-corruption into Goa and Punjab, and yet you get booted out, you don't even open an account in Goa and look what happened to you in Punjab. I think people want to see you work. There has to be some consistency into the promises that you make in your manifesto and how you're approaching them. And the second thing I want to say is about the popularity of Mr. Manoj Tiwari. Mr. Manoj Tiwari just came like some 4 or 5 months ago as the leader of Delhi BJP. But there is a difference between Aam Aadmi Party and other parties and Bharatiya Janata Party. Other parties are more interested in creating a peoply life sort of aura about them, that the media will go before they will go anywhere. But Mr. Manoj Tiwari has been staying over in slums and in villages almost every night, and none of us actually get to know because, well, we know because we're in the party, but it's not shown in the media because he's not doing it for publicity purposes. It's not a stunt that he's performing. He genuinely wants to live with them, understand their problems, and perhaps help them right there and then. I think the approach and the
Can I just raise one question, ma'am, with you?
Obviously, the organizational vision of Amit Shah is something that is really...
Ma'am, while you extol Manoj Tiwari's virtues, can I just ask one simple question? You changed all your sitting MCD councillors before the election. Somewhere was there an admission in that these same councillors of yours did no work? Today you are accusing Aam Aadmi Party because the poll is heavily in your favor and you have every right therefore to do of doing no work, and the people are rejecting them. But is there also an admission that 10 years of the MCD, your councillors did precious little, which is why in an unprecedented manner you had to sack them all? What does that say about the quality of people who are in the BJP in Delhi for the last 10 years?
So I just want to make one point, that the party for a long time had realized that the party requires to go in for a generational shift, because many of them were repeat councillors, and now Bharatiya Janata Party is the world's largest party, not just India's largest party, and there are many members and there are very many active volunteers as well. Everybody needs to get a chance somewhere. That was obviously in our mind before this decision was taken, and long back. It wasn't recent.
No, why not be more honest and say that they were useless?
Aam Aadmi Party.
Ma'am, the general belief is the MCD was a singularly corrupt body. Nupur Sharma, respect you if you accepted what you all say in private, that your councillors, many of them were corrupt, became crorepati's in 5 years, made a lot of money, did little for infrastructure in the areas. Today you are winning not because of the work of your councillors, but because of Mr. Modi's image that he has been able to create, that he offers hope. Be honest, ma'am, your councillors were not generational change, they were useless.
There is, allow me to complete, there is no doubt that Mr. Modi is the most popular leader, at least ever since I took birth. He is the most popular leader that India has seen, and not only India, worldwide. But as far as MCD is concerned, I would still say it is not the case, because see, Delhi, the issues of Delhi became far worse to handle after the Delhi government had Aam Aadmi Party ruling it. Let's be very clear about that as well. And now when you're talking about work, there was work done. People understand that. And I think Delhiites also had this choice. Would they want the money which is going into cleaning sewages, into building roads, to go into samosas and 16,000 rupee thalis? I think people are not fools, and they realize very well where they're voting. The same logic would apply to bipolar.
A few minutes left. I want to take our viewers through the data sets that are still left. You know, one of the key areas of strength for the Aam Aadmi Party was the youth. The youth in Delhi was in 2015 strongly aligned in favor of Kejriwal. That again seems to have changed. Remember, when we say that the ground is slipping from below Kejriwal's feet, when you break up the data, you see how they're being hammered amongst the youth, amongst the poor, amongst the Dalits, amongst the Muslims. They're losing ground everywhere. Only 23% of those between 18 and 25 said they'd vote up. 45% said they'd vote BJP, which is more than the BJP's overall vote percentage. 22% said they'd vote Congress. Even amongst those between 26 and 35, 23% said they'd vote for AAP, 45% said they'd vote BJP, 21% said they'd vote for the Congress. Let's now look at income categories. Income categories are interesting because it gives you a sense of how rich or how poor a particular voter is, and whether that gives you a sense of how he may vote. Those who earn up to 10,000 rupees, out of those, 25% said they'd vote up, 42% said they'd vote for the BJP. So there is no data subsection which shows more people wanting to vote for up than for the BJP. Not one single subset. That really, if you study data, if you understand what these numbers mean, that is saying a lot. So the Aam Aadmi Party losing heavily to the BJP across income categories, across religion categories, across caste, in every single subsect. Those between 11 and 20,000 every month, 22% said they'd vote up, 45% said they'd vote BJP. I can go on, but I want to come in the end to what may happen in a Lok Sabha election. If a Lok Sabha election were to be held just now, what would the numbers look like? Remember, it was 7-0 in favor of the BJP in 2014. The Lok Sabha elections are still far away. But in 2015, the AAP won everywhere. The 2014 projections done by Pradeep Gupta and his team at Access say the BJP will bag all 7 seats if Lok Sabha elections are to be held at this time. Ashok Malik, the rout of the Aam Aadmi Party and the surge of the BJP is all pervasive. There is no category where AAP is not being beaten comprehensively by the BJP.
You know, Rahul, there are two things here. One, in a Lok Sabha election, we can debate an assembly election because the BJP needs a chief ministerial candidate. There are different dynamics. There are some AAP MLAs who will win, there are some AAP MLAs who will lose, and so on. In a Lok Sabha election, as various polls have shown, the BJP remains very strong, not just in Delhi and, as Rajdeep said, across India. So I have no doubt in the Lok Sabha election, the BJP will do very well in North India, in urban India, in its bastions, perhaps across the country, and certainly in Delhi. Whether it wins all 7 or 6 or out of 7 or whatever is debatable, but the fact is it will do very, very well in Delhi. There's one other point I'd like to make. In the 2013 assembly election, the BJP got 33% of the vote. In the 2015 assembly election, broadly it retained its 32-33% vote share. What happened was the Congress collapsed and the AAP vote share surged from, I think, 29%, it went up to 54%, and the Congress just collapsed to below 10%. This time it was the Congress, the BJP was hoping that a split in the opposition vote, with the Congress gaining some of the votes it had lost, would see the BJP going through towards victory. But as this opinion poll indicates, if these numbers are right, this is not going to be a victory for the BJP only because the opposition vote has been divided. It's going to be a victory because there's a 10% positive surge for the BJP, which is very unusual given that the municipal corporations were not popular, and frankly neither is the AAP government as popular as it was 2 years ago. But despite that, the BJP has got a 10% surge in its favor, which is very, very unusual, which tells you
in one line essentially Ashok Malik is that nobody is popular except Modi. They didn't like, the voters didn't like the MCD cooperators. They thought nothing of these MCD cooperators. Amit Shah realized that, he fired all of them. They're not happy with Arvind Kejriwal either, and the AAP government. The only thing they seem reasonably satisfied with, in fact more than satisfied with, is the performance of the central government. I'm out of time, so I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much Rajdeep, thank you very much Professor Kamal Mitra Chunoy, Ashish Kaitan. We hope to have you back on the 26th. If our poll is wrong, then Pradeep Gupta is the man you must go after. He's listening very carefully. Pradeep ji, I hope you are right, because Ashish Kaitan and the Aam Aadmi Party will be very upset. You're in Mumbai, so you're safe. Otherwise, there may have been a dharna outside your office. We will find out.
Can I make a
just 10 seconds? I'm out of time. So 10 seconds. Okay.
But you know, what I'd like to ask Mr. Gupta is, why when he asked for things that should be done, or the criticism of issues, why he didn't mention corruption? That was
Pradeep, 10 seconds.
Yeah, as we are discussing why BJP is gaining more than 10% or 15% vote, I mean, I would like to make one very small observation. You like it or don't like it, the Notbandi is one, and secondly, the Yogi's performance, a rapid fire action he is taking, number two, and of course the Modi himself. Okay. These are the three big factor which is playing in the mind of voters.
Okay, so again, you know, if
these things creating the hopes, you know, it's all about hopes.
Okay, we'll be back with Pradeep Gupta on the morning of the 26th, and I like what Rajdeep says at the end of such shows, that if we get this right, then of course it's the India Today group and Access My India Together that's got this right. If the exit poll numbers are wrong and Ashish and everybody else with the jhadu want to come and protest, please do so outside Pradeep Gupta's office. We will happily send the address. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on the morning of the 26th. This is interesting. We're all political animals, love data, look at dissecting it, breaking it up in different ways. And this was just an exercise which said, if assembly elections were to happen, what would the new assembly look like? Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have more for you when we come back on the other side.